Legacy of the Murdaugh family. For nearly a century, the Murdaugh family held an iron grip over South Carolina's low-country legal system. 3 generations of Murdaugh men served as solicitors, a powerful role in the legal system that essentially acted as a district attorney. They weren't just lawyers, they were the law in the region. Alex Murdaugh, the central figure in this modern tragedy, was the most recent heir to this legacy. But unlike his predecessors, his name would be forever associated with scandal, crime, and betrayal. Behind the scenes, Alex's life was unraveling in ways no one could see, at least not at first. A hidden addiction as investigators dug into Alex's financials and background. A shocking revelation surfaced. Alex Murdaugh had been battling a long-term opioid addiction. Not a casual one, but a massive addiction. He admitted to spending tens of thousands of dollars per week, yes, per week, on opioids, primarily oxycodone. This wasn't a recent development either. His addiction had apparently been going on for over 2 decades. This addiction, Alex would later claim, fueled many of his decisions, including theft, fraud, and other criminal behavior, but many questioned whether it was truly just addiction or a convenient excuse. The money trail, fraud and deceit in the months following the murders. Investigators began uncovering a staggering amount of financial crimes committed by Alex. These weren't small-time frauds. This was a calculated system of deception. Alex was stealing money from his own law firm, Peters, Murdaugh, Parker, Eltsroth, and Dietrich PMPD. He had embezzled millions of dollars, siphoning off client settlements, forging signatures, and creating fake accounts. He also stole from vulnerable clients, including a quadriplegic man and children who had lost their parents. To say the betrayal was profound would be an understatement. Each revelation brought more outrage. For years, no one had dared question Alex. Now, everything he built was crumbling. The mysterious death of Gloria Satterfield, one case that especially raised eyebrows, was the death of Gloria Satterfield, the Murdaugh family's longtime housekeeper and nanny. In 2018, Gloria allegedly fell down the stairs at the Murdaugh family estate and later died of her injuries. Initially, the death was ruled as an accidental trip and fall. No autopsy was performed. But after the 2021 murders, Gloria's case was re-examined, and what investigators discovered was horrifying. Alex Murdaugh had recommended that Gloria's sons file a wrongful death lawsuit against him. He then pocketed the entire $4.3 million settlement meant for her family. Let that sink in. He stole millions from the children of a woman who had worked for his family for over 2 decades. This wasn't just fraud. It was cold-blooded manipulation of people who trusted him. The fatal boat crash, but Alex's house of cards may have started falling long before 2021. In 2019, Alex's son Paul Murdaugh was at the center of a deadly incident that began the family's public unraveling. Paul, then 19, was driving the family boat while intoxicated. The boat crashed into a bridge piling, and Mallory Beach, a 19-year-old passenger, was thrown into the water. Her body was found days later. Paul was charged with boating under the influence causing death. But the case was moving slowly, and some suspected the Murdaugh influence was protecting him. There were also conflicting accounts about who was driving the boat. Some said Paul, others weren't so sure. But what no one doubted was that Paul was drunk, reckless, and shielded by his powerful last name. The Beach family filed a lawsuit, one that could reveal the Murdaugh family's financials, secrets, and legal vulnerabilities, and that lawsuit. It was just days away from a major hearing when Paul and Maggie were murdered in June 2021. Coincidence? The murder scene, Forensic findings. As forensic experts analyzed the murder scene at Moselle, the details became even more bizarre. Maggie had been shot multiple times from a distance with a high-powered rifle. Paul had been killed at close range with a shotgun. One blast to the chest and another that obliterated his skull. Two separate weapons, two different angles. No defensive wounds. No signs of robbery or forced entry. Even stranger, Maggie's phone was later found discarded along the road. Some distance from the scene, and surveillance data showed it had been moved minutes after the murders. Guess whose phone data showed movement in the same time frame? Alex Murdaugh. The data doesn't lie. Cell phone records, GPS, call logs, car data, all painted a timeline. Alex claimed he was visiting his mother, who suffered from dementia, during the time of the murders. But his car's onboard system showed he left Moselle later than he claimed, and returned sooner than he admitted. He also made a suspicious number of phone calls in a short span, including one just seconds after arriving back at Moselle to discover the bodies. This wasn't a grieving husband and father calling in despair. This was someone creating an alibi. Someone calculating each step. The Snapchat video that changed everything, but perhaps the most damning piece of evidence came from a Snapchat video. Just minutes before the murders, Paul had taken a video of a dog on the property and sent it to a friend. In the background of that video, you can hear three voices: Paul, Maggie, and Alex. This proved Alex was at the murder scene just minutes before the killings, directly contradicting his alibi. He later admitted it was him in the video, but claimed he left right after. But by that point, the damage was done. Mental state and the suicide for hire plot. Just months after the murders, things took another bizarre turn. Alex called 911 claiming he had been shot in the head on the side of a rural road. He said a stranger tried to kill him while he was changing a tire. But the truth, even more twisted. Alex had hired a distant cousin, Curtis Edward Smith, to shoot him in a failed suicide for hire plot. The goal, to make his death look like murder so his surviving son, Buster, could collect a $10 million life insurance payout. But Smith was a terrible shot. Alex survived with only a superficial injury. The plan failed, and both men were arrested. Even in desperation, Alex had tried to spin tragedy into profit. Criminal charges stack up. As of early 2023, Alex Murdaugh faced over 100 criminal charges, including 2 counts of murder, numerous counts of fraud, and financial crimes. Charges related to the suicide for hire plot, drug-related offenses linked to opioid trafficking. He was disbarred from practicing law. His reputation, once untouchable, was in ashes. And yet, the full scope of his crimes may still not be fully known. The courtroom was packed with tension. Months of hearings, evidence, and emotions had led to this moment. Alex Murdaugh sat quietly, his once proud demeanor now replaced by a man stripped bare by scandal and sorrow. The prosecution laid out their case, piece by piece, painting a picture of greed, addiction, and cold-blooded murder. They recounted the murders of Maggie and Paul, the web of financial crimes, the deceit, and the desperate suicide for hire plot. Witnesses spoke of Alex's addiction, how it eroded his judgment, his relationships, and ultimately led him down a dark path. Family friends testified about the slow unraveling of the Murdaugh dynasty, once untouchable, now shattered. The defense argued for mercy, citing Alex's long battle with addiction and mental health struggles. They painted him as a broken man, desperate and lost, caught in a spiral beyond his control. But for many, mercy seemed impossible. The evidence was overwhelming, the betrayal too great. After days of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict. guilty on multiple counts, including the murders. As the judge delivered the sentence, silence filled the room. Alex was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The Murdaugh dynasty, once a symbol of power and respect, was finished. Outside the courthouse, reactions poured in. Some mourned the loss of a once great family. Others felt justice had finally been served. For the victims, Maggie and Paul, it was a tragic end to a story filled with heartbreak. But the story doesn't end here. The Murdaugh saga serves as a stark reminder that power and privilege do not grant immunity from justice. That behind every facade, there can be darkness. And that truth, no matter how deeply buried, eventually finds its way to light. Alex Murdaugh's fall from grace is a cautionary tale about the cost of secrets, addiction, and betrayal. It's a story that has captivated a nation and will be studied for years to come. And for those who knew the Murdaugh family, it is a painful chapter, one that changed their community forever.